Hello, everyone, and welcome to Key to Theosophy book study number 31, where that's my way of keeping track. Number 31. We're actually beginning section 8, which is one of my favorite subjects, reincarnation and rebirth. It always helps to understand there's more to our story, nature, nurture, who we are when we got here. So anyway, I would like to invite you to not only listen to me read this to you, I read it to you. I share some definitions in there. As a former radio and television broadcaster, I wish to be of service and bring these teachings out into the world right now, especially right now. This is the time for these theosophical teachings to be available to all. So I am just wishing to be of service because in my heart of hearts, I too am an empath, and I feel I just wish to do something to help ease the unnecessary suffering of all beings on our planet. So I can't think of anything else to do, and I can't not do this. So if you go back in the channel, you'll see that I've read some texts for you. I've read the 14 lessons in Oriental Occultism and Yogi Philosophy. That's up on this channel for free. I've read The Voice of the Silence. I have done Theosophical Shorts on the Secret Doctrine. Anyway, it doesn't matter. There's also Light on the Path. We've done live book studies of Light on the Path. We're doing live book studies of Voice of the Silence. I'm just wishing to get these teachings out there because once I found them, I was looking all my life, raised Catholic. That wasn't it. There had to be more. So I went looking in the New Age movement, and then the New Age movement literally is cherry-picked from these ancient teachings. And it is not just Theosophy. You will hear me compare it often to Kabbalah, Jewish mysticism, alchemy. You can look in the ancient mysteries of the Alexandrian philosophers, which we're going to talk about in this chapter. Anyway, these teachings are ancient. They're as old as time itself. They're actually older than time. And the application, the study, the digestion of them has changed my life in such a monumental way that I feel I must share them with you. So if you're ready to begin, I will put a link down below to the original text so you can actually print that off, or, well, don't do that. Don't print it off. You don't need to do that. Put it on your phone and you can read along and study and apply. That's the most important thing. It's not about your ability to memorize texts. That's not important. Pronunciation, don't worry about that. The most important thing is to hear the lessons and put them into application in your life, because you then become these teachings. And through that, you will affect those around you. And never before has humanity needed more compassion, empathy, understanding, kindness, unity, connection. So that's what we're doing here. So let's get started. Now I'm using a teleprompter to read these teachings to you. I have been asked to read more slowly, which is difficult for me because I'm so used to getting things into a 60-second, or I have an hour to talk, or 45 minutes or whatever. So I do talk a little fast, and I am dealing with the teleprompter, and I appreciate your patience. And I can remember also too when I first started studying and writing to people on YouTube and never getting an answer back. And so this channel is still small enough that I can answer your questions. If I do not get back to you, please write me again, comment on your comment, drop me a line at livingtheosophy@gmail.com. Also, if you'd like a free copy, if you live in the United Kingdom and you would like a free copy, a paperback copy of this book, if you live in the United Kingdom, thanks to the Theosophical Society headquarters out of London, they still have some copies available that they will mail out for free, but you have to live in the UK. Okay. So anyway, I used to write to folks on YouTube, and I never got a response back. I always like to be able to reach out to you, and I do like to interact with you. So on Sunday nights, we're going to start having a little gathering circle where other theosophical people, like-minded people, compassionate souls can join here on this channel. So I would invite you to please subscribe. Give us a subscribe if you can. Click the notification bell so you know when new videos come up. And I think I have to have 10,000 subscribers before I can go live on those little shorts. So we're awfully short of that. But it doesn't matter. This channel is not about me. The star here on this channel are the Theosophical teachings. I don't give my name on this channel because that's not important. I'm simply an instrument. I'm a voice. And I will read these teachings to you. I will share them with you, share my experience with them, so you can actually put them into application, and your lives will change and the lives around you will change. And it is all compassion and love. That's what the fundamental teaching is, balance. So let's get started. Let's go into rebirth and reincarnation. Are you ready? Let's go. The Key to Theosophy, Section 8, on reincarnation and rebirth. What is memory? According to the Theosophical teachings, what is memory? Now, this is written in question and answer form. So the inquirer asks, the most difficult thing for you to do will be to explain and give reasonable grounds for such a belief. No theosophist has ever yet succeeded in bringing forward a single valid proof to shake my skepticism. First of all, you have against this theory of reincarnation the fact that no single man has yet been found to remember that he has lived, least of all who he was during his previous life. Theosophist answers, your argument, I see, tends to the same old objection, the loss of memory in each of us of our previous incarnation. You think it invalidates our doctrine? My answer is that it does not, and that at any rate, such an objection cannot be final. Inquirer, I would like to hear your arguments. Theosophist, they are short and few. Yet when you take into consideration A, the utter inability of the best modern psychologists to explain to the world, the nature of mind, and B, their complete ignorance of its potentialities and higher states, you have to admit that this objection is based on a priori, which means knowledge that is independent of all particular experiences, as opposed to a posteriori knowledge, which derives from experience. Conclusion drawn from prima facie, first impression, and circumstantial evidence more than anything else. Now, what is memory in your conception, pray? Inquirer answers, that which is generally accepted, the faculty in our mind of remembering and of retaining the knowledge of previous thoughts, deeds, and events. Theosophist, please add to it that there is a great difference between the three accepted forms of memory. Besides memory, in general, you have remembrance, recollection, and reminiscence. Have you not? Have you ever thought over the difference? Memory, remember, is a generic name. Inquirer says, yet all these are only synonyms. Theosophist answers, indeed, they are not in philosophy at all events. Memory is simply an innate power in thinking beings, and even in animals, of reproducing past impressions by an association of ideas, principally suggested by objective things or by some action on our external sensory organs. Memory is a faculty depending entirely on the more or less healthy and normal functioning of our physical brain, and remembrance and recollection are the attributes and handmaidens of that memory. But reminiscence is an entirely different thing. Reminiscence is defined by the modern psychologist as something intermediate between remembrance and recollection, or a conscious process of recalling past occurrences, but without that full and varied reference to particular things which characterizes recollection. Locke, which is John Locke, a 17th century British philosopher and physician, speaking of recollection, he says, and remembrance, he says, when an idea again recurs without the operation of the like object on the external sensory, it is remembrance. If it be sought after by the mind, and with pain and endeavor found and brought again into view, it is recollection. But even Locke leaves reminiscence without any clear definition, because it is no faculty or attribute of our physical memory, but an intuitional perception apart from and outside of our physical brain, a perception which, covering as it does, being called into action by the ever-present knowledge of our spiritual ego, all those visions in man which are regarded as abnormal, from the pictures suggested by genius to the ravings of fever and even madness, are classed by science as having no existence outside of our fancy. Occultism and Theosophy, however, regard reminiscence in an entirely different light. For us, while memory is physical and evanescent and depends on the physiological conditions of the brain, a fundamental proposition with all teachers of mnemonics, the study and development of systems for improving and assisting the memory, mnemonics, who have the researches of modern scientific psychologists to back them. We call reminiscence the memory of the soul, and it is this memory which gives the assurance to almost every human being, whether he understands it or not, of his having lived before and having to live again. Indeed, as Wordsworth put it, our birth is but a sleep and a forgetting. The soul that rises with us, our life's star, hath elsewhere had its setting and cometh from afar. Inquirer, if it is on this kind of memory, poetry, and abnormal fancies, on your own confession, that you base your doctrine, then you will convince very few, I am afraid. Theosophist, I did not confess it was a fancy. I simply said that physiologists and scientists in general regard such reminiscences as hallucinations and fancy, to which learned conclusion they are welcome. We do not deny that such visions of the past and glimpses far back into the corridors of time are not abnormal as contrasted with our normal daily life experience and physical memory. But we do maintain with Professor W. Knight, who is Professor William Angus Knight, he was a professor of moral philosophy, that the absence of memory of any action done in a previous state cannot be a conclusive argument against our having lived through it. And every fair-minded opponent must agree what is said in Butler's lectures on Platonic philosophy. Now that's William Archer Butler, a 19th century Irish historian of philosophy. He says that the feeling of extravagance with which it, pre-existence, affects us has its secret source in materialistic or semi-materialistic prejudices. Besides which, we maintain that memory, as Olympiodorus called it, is simply fantasy, and the most unreliable thing in us. Now there's a note here. The fantasy, says Olympiodorus in Plotinus Phaedo, which is Phaedo or Phaedo, also known to ancient readers as On the Soul. On the Soul is one of the best-known dialogues of Plato's Middle Period, along with the Republic and the Symposium. The philosophical subject of dialogue is the immortality of the soul. The fantasy is an impediment to our intellectual conceptions, and hence, when we are agitated by the inspiring influence of the divinity, if the fantasy intervenes, the enthusiastic energy ceases, for enthusiasm and the ecstasy are contrary to each other. Should it be asked whether the soul is able to energize without the fantasy, we reply that its perception of universals proves that that is able. It has perceptions, therefore, independent of the fantasy. At the same time, however, the fantasy attends in its energies just as a storm pursues him who sails on the sea. Ammonius Saccas asserted that the only faculty in man directly opposed to prognostication, which means to predict, or looking into futurity, is memory. Furthermore, remember that memory is one thing and mind or thought is another. One is a recording machine, a register which very easily gets out of order. The other, Thoughts are eternal and imperishable. Would you refuse to believe in the existence of certain things or men only because your physical eyes have not seen them? Would not the collective testimony of past generations who have seen him be a sufficient guarantee that Julius Caesar once lived? Why should not the same testimony of the psychic senses of the masses be taken into consideration? Inquirer. But don't you think that these are too fine distinctions to be accepted by the majority of mortals? Theosophist. Say rather by the majority of materialists. And to them we say, behold, even in the short span of ordinary existence, memory is too weak to register all the events of a lifetime. How frequently do even most important events lie dormant in our memory until awakened by some association of ideas, or aroused to function and activity by some other link? This is especially the case with people of advanced age, who are always found suffering from feebleness of recollection. When therefore we remember that which we know about the physical and the spiritual principles in man, it is not the fact that our memory has failed to record our precedent life and lives that ought to surprise us, but the contrary, were it to happen. So, whew. Thank you for putting up with the teleprompter. I know. It's really funny. And I will tell you the truth. It's literally like tiny little words like this, and they're cut up. So I'm doing my very best. And that's all I can do, is my very, very best to be able to get these teachings to you so you can read along with me, so you can hear what they're saying. Again, written about 130 years ago, question and answer form, the inquirer asking the theosophist all the things. If you want to learn about theosophy, all the things are in here which can lead to more and further study. This, The Secret Doctrine, a daunting text. And also, it has been said that that is not in its entirety either. There is still more to the story. But if you study the near-death experiences, which is one of my favorite things as well, I love that, love reincarnation, when they come back with this knowledge and this understanding, they are synonymous with what is in The Secret Doctrine. This is humanity's textbook. And what better time for humanity to pick up humanity's textbook than when we are all, if you're watching this right now, we're in the middle of the COVID-19 breakout of 2020. We're all in lockdown, the entire world sharing one common denominator, a virus, which has actually restored nature and put us in a state of reflection, self-reflection, where we can overcome ourselves and hopefully overcome the way we've been treating other beings on this planet and the planet in general. So what better time than now for Theosophy to come forward and be available. So that's why I'm doing this. Whether it be COVID-19 is way in our rearview mirror and we've learned from that, that will change the world. What is taking place right now is a necessary change for us to save our planet and ourselves. We need to change what we've been doing. We cannot keep going in the way that we have been going. So if we take this time out, if you stumble across this video, good. Please click the link down below. You can actually access this text if you live in the United Kingdom and you would like a paperback mailed out to you. There are still some copies available. Please send me an email in the link below. Also, if you'd like to support the channel, you can click over here. Please subscribe. Please share. I think everybody can get something out of these teachings. I highly and strongly believe, without doubt, that it is time for what was planted 130 years ago, which is actually timeless. These seeds are coming to fruition, and we are to plant and implement these for the generations to come. So whatever year it is that you come across this video, good for you. Good. I'm glad. That's what I was looking for, and I'm sharing it with you. I am learning as we go along. I am not a teacher. I'm simply a fellow student, a dedicated student of Theosophy. My name is not important. Theosophy is the star here. here. So on this channel, I have read you The Voice of the Silence, which was quite an undertaking. There's a lot of Sanskrit in there, and I hope that I gave it the gravitas and the importance that it deserves. I also read Light on the Path, and we've done some book studies where we go through, and every time we open these books, new information comes out. The further you get down the path, the more you are able to understand, the better you are able to understand, and you realize how very little you truly know. It's true. It's weird, but it's true. So anyway, thank you for subscribing. Thank you for clicking the notification bell. Thank you for sharing. Pop over to livingtheosophy.com, go to the shop. If you'd like to get free ebooks, you're welcome to do so. Make sure you're in the free ebook section. You can get those. And then also, if you'd like to support the channel, I'm doing this as a labor of love. And I have put the audiobooks into these affordable little support packages. So they're cheaper than they are on the global outlets. And if you'd like to support the channel, please, thank you in advance, because I've given up everything to do this. So this is I believe that this is what I'm supposed to do. And as far as the monetary side of it, I have no idea how that's going to be taken care of. I am just grateful to be able to be of service. And if you'd like to support the channel, the support packages are there as well on the Living Theosophy website. So I'm trying to catch up and get the blogs out there. And I'm on the Living Theosophy, all the social media outlets, with the exception of Periscope. Periscope is a peek into our lives. It's kind of a backstage reality show into what takes place here in our world when we're not doing Living Theosophy. So on Living Theosophy, you will see other things taking place. That is a real look into our lives. The rest of it is all about the teachings. It's all about the quotes. It's all about the ancient writings. It's all about you. That's what it boils down to. You are the temple, and nature is the church. And more can be discovered through the application, the study, the digestion, and the practice of these teachings. Thank you for joining me. I love you, and I will see you again soon. Thank you for watching to the end of the video. I appreciate you. I love you. And if you enjoyed what you saw, please share and please subscribe. Click the purple picture and subscribe, then the notification bell. So ding, you are notified when new videos come on. Ow. And then you are also notified when we have live book studies. So thank you. I love you.